Thursday night just got a whole lot worse.
Dun dun dun.
This is US Fan TV.
Wah, wah.
My name is Pat. His name is Chris.
My name is Chris.
Thank you. We talk about soccer on the show, mainly soccer in the United States of America. You were just on another show, though.
I was
in Jamaica.
Yeah. I was just speaking with Simon Preston from Reggae Boys Commentary. We were kind of discussing some of the results, the outcome from last week's game, and then last weekend's game, I guess. And then, what we have to look forward to, the fact that we're both going to be playing Honduras soon. They'll be playing them next week. We'll be playing them in 7 weeks or whatever it is right now. So yeah, looking at what we thought the future held for the teams, and will we get to see each other in the Gold Cup? Yeah, Simon's a pretty cool guy. If you haven't watched his commentary, if you want to see anything about about Jamaica or about other teams in CONCACAF or about the Caribbean teams, I would absolutely tell you to go check out his vlogs, his videos as well. He has some good stuff. He has worked for the Jamaican Federation, so he does have an in with some of the with some access there. So yeah, he's a good guy with some interesting things to say.
Did you refuse to talk about the previous Gold Cup?
I did mention, yeah, I hope that if we meet again, it has a much different outcome this time around. I said, sorry, but I was kind of happy that we beat you last week.
Yeah, it did feel better after that. God, I was so pissed about that. Speaking of Gold Cups, so the last show, if you missed it, we talked about the new red jersey, which maybe we don't like it, but I mean, I don't think we hate it either. It's just kind of fine. We're kind of bored by that whole template, having the same template. I mean, that template's pretty comfortable and everything, but it's just kind of boring, this new red jersey that we came out with. But there's been some news in this front. So Rob Stone from Fox Sports and Alexi Lalas, who you may know, who's from Fox Sports, but you may know him from many other things, say that they have seen a jersey that we are going to wear in the Gold Cup that is awesome. And it's going to be a one-off thing that we only wear for the Gold Cup, and they love it, and everybody's going to love it. It's going to be great. It's going to make the U.S. soccer team great again. They're
actually going to wear those red hats because they make U.S. soccer great again.
When things calm down, that'd be pretty funny to wear, but I'm not pulling that out right now. I can tell you that.
No.
So yeah, this is good news. If they are to believed and be believed, and I have no reason to not believe those guys. They're pretty awesome guys. They're good at what they do. I have no doubt they would have seen things. Fox has the Gold Cup, so maybe that was the reason why they saw it. This is good. Maybe I can go spend my $90 on something and feel good about it. But like I said, I'm not buying the red one unless it's like $45 at Dick's Sporting Goods on clearance or something.
Which the indication would be it will be soon. Actually, funny thing, I went to the U.S. Soccer store today to see online to see if by some reason they had screwed up and they were like releasing jerseys early somehow. They put it up there, and then the funny thing, the thing that made me laugh was the women's jersey with the 3 stars on it in the men's cut is more expensive than the men's jersey without that. Like the 3 stars made it $10 more expensive.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't figure that out because I figured that's probably the one that sells the least realistically.
Right. So maybe they only get a few.
Why make it the most expensive unless they're truly basing it on supply? I don't know. But yeah, they're all on sale right now for quite a bit less than they were, a lot less than they were originally. But that one's $10 more expensive than the one without 3 stars.
Did they have the ugly pocket tee as well?
I just ignored that section because of that. I saw the ad for it. I was like, what in the hell? Every time I see this, I can't stand it. No,
I said this before, but I'm glad Stars and Stripes called them out on that because it is crap that it's like just do something basic and it'd be better than that. But again, this is turning into a fashion show.
Yeah, whatever. One thing to, I guess, keep on the fashion tip. yeah, they do note that that red jersey is not the Gold Cup one. So
Right.
just to make it clear, they say the Gold Cup one, we have not seen it, has not leaked. I think this is the first purely Gold Cup uniform or jersey, whatever it turns out to be, since the 2007
The pinstripes,
pinstripes
right?
one.
Yeah, I was
That
gonna say.
TJ is the only person I know who owns one of those. Even I was
Yeah,
like,
that
I
wasn't for
don't.
me.
That was the
Yeah.
first one I think of Nike's. Like, I just don't get it. Like, what? Why? Why did we do that?
TJ's also the only person on earth probably who owns that and the Guernsey City FC or whatever he likes.
Guernsey, yeah, or a Vasco da Gama.
Yeah.
You, you've not been inside his house. You really need to go look at TJ if you're on. We should have you on for this. I feel like, or make you go shoot video of this. His closets, like his basement closets, are just full to like overstuffed with jerseys. Every once in a while, his wife makes him sell some or give some away. He like, I have a lot of jerseys. I mean, I have a closet in my house, and I guess most of the rack that's actually behind my setup here is covered in jerseys. I also have tons of shirts and jackets and scarves and hats and whatever. Uh, he has more jerseys than like anyone I've ever met. It's like if he sees a team, just buys a jersey. And I sometimes do some things like that, but I usually do it if I have some, I don't know, some reason for affection for that team. He just does it because like he thinks the team's funny, or I don't know. Like Gaddy has so many jerseys. Yeah, every once in a while he'll offer me one because it's like I got to get rid of some, but it's usually one I have that he's offering me. So
yeah, so good news, there's a new jersey coming out and we're going to like it and it's going to make everything better. I think I feel like I don't hate the current crop. I don't like the black one, but I don't hate the current crop. They are comfortable, they're well made. I feel like the US, with Nike being based in the US, I feel like the US deserves different treatment, and maybe we should have something that goes off of that template.
And why can't Nike actually sell the best versions of the stuff it makes? Like I actually like the white jersey and the long sleeve. Why can't I buy that? I like the red warm up they wear. Well, the short sleeve one that they only sell in black now on the website. Or for children that they've but also the red warm up with like the purple sleeves, which I still don't get. Like, why not make the sleeves actually blue enough that they just look blue, or keep them red? I don't get it. But either way, I still like those. I want one, but again, they don't sell them. I like the red hoodie sweatshirt that they give the players, but it zips up as opposed to the one that just like goes over your head that they sell on the website. Like, why can't we get the stuff the players get? They're clearly making it, so why aren't they selling it?
All right, enough chat about clothing. Anyway. Hope Solo. We don't talk about the women's team a lot on this show, but we're going to tonight. Our girl Hope Solo is talking trash about Jill Ellis. In the 60-minute sports piece that aired, it was paraphrased. It wasn't actually one of the sound bites used, but it was paraphrased that Hope said that Jill was a poor leader. Hope is, of course, still away from the team, and it's unclear whether she's going to come back. I don't think she is.
I think it's clear.
Yeah, I mean, it's also it's interesting to note that with the She Believes Cup roster is out, and Megan Rapinoe wasn't on it either. So it seems maybe the team just wants to avoid people who cause negative headlines. Not that
don't give them the publicity they want.
Exactly. And not that Rapinoe's headlines were anything what Hope did. Rapinoe was just kneeling during the anthem because of something she believes in. Hope manages to say something new every other week.
Solo fired first and second and third and fourth. Yes, wonderful Hope. Yeah, I don't. I assume the Rapinoe thing may be just because she's getting older, but maybe that is giving the federation the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they are trying to silence the players who, the players who are causing them, the attention they don't want or whatever. Having said that, I mean, I don't know. They've still got some of the other women who are in on who helped file the lawsuit for the the pay disagreement. So they're not silencing them or forcing them out. But I don't know. Now, I will say, we mentioned it last time, but if you haven't listened, Grant Wall's podcast with Sunil Gulati last week or earlier this week, he did talk about why was it okay? Why did the Federation come out and support when Michael Bradley said that he felt embarrassed by Trump's travel ban, but they didn't support Megan Rapinoe in her decision to kneel during the national anthem. Sunil said, I can't believe that you don't see a difference here. He said, Michael Bradley was speaking out, just kind of speaking his mind about a policy the government has. He said, we support anyone in speaking their mind on that. This country has freedom of speech. And the difference, he said, in that from what Rapinoe was doing was that people rally around the flag, rally around the national anthem, and here she was making a statement during that. And he said,
Right.
That to me is different. And it is. I mean, we've talked about it, that it does seem different when you are representing the country and then you are making a statement during a representation of that country.
Like when Colin Kaepernick was doing it, like my take on it is, you'll hear people say, well, soldiers fought and died for you to stand there, so you need to look at the flag. And my take on it is, they fought and died for your right to disagree with it too. We're a free country. I don't want to live in a country where it's mandatory that we all stand and look at the flag if we don't feel that way. I do feel the need to stand and look at it during the national anthem, but I don't feel like other people have to. But when you're actually playing for the national team, I think that's a different animal, and I don't think you should kneel. I respect her decision to do it, but I don't think you should. So I guess maybe that ruffled some feathers. To be fair about U.S. Soccer, they didn't say anything about Michael Bradley against the Muslim ban. They didn't say anything about Jeff Cameron when he all but was for it. Jeff Cameron's a very conservative guy, if you didn't know. And Jeff did a much better job than the Trump administration in articulating reasons why we might want it. It was thoughtful, but he did come out and basically say it's not a bad idea. And U.S. Soccer didn't get mad at either guy, which is good, because you should be able to speak your mind. But I guess when it comes to actually doing something that some people might consider disruptive to the team during the process leading up to the game, I guess you could see drawing the line there. I get it. But yeah, so it seems like maybe the team is maybe pushing away from Rapinoe and definitely pushing away from Hope, because it creates a lot of headaches. I wonder, Hope probably still is the best female goalie in the world, maybe the best who ever lived. But I wonder how many players on the team actually, other than Carly Lloyd, who it makes very clear in her book that she loves Hope. Other than Carly, I wonder how many players on the team actually wanted Hope back, or do want Hope back. And I'd be surprised if it was a lot.
I know Nora O'Donnell asked her that in the interview they had on 60 Minutes Sports, and she says something like, well, we did win a World Cup together, kind of intimating that of course they'd want me back, but she doesn't actually say it, which to me says that there's something there. I mean, as a former journalist, as a PR professional, I am aware of the things you say and don't say when you want to when you want to cover something up. And it to me was a little bit telling that she doesn't actually say, oh no, they wanted me back. If she truly thought they all wanted her back, she would have said it. So maybe it is that there's just a minority that want her back and the majority don't, because she's a lot to handle. When she trashed what was it, Brianna Scurry about not playing. She's hammered coaches. I haven't seen video of her actually saying it, but Nora O'Donnell paraphrased her and said that she called Jill Ellis out as a poor leader and a poor tactician.
She stole a Federation vehicle and went drunk driving with her husband.
I did have to laugh at
there was that. That should have been a bigger problem.
Yeah, they kind of let her Nora O'Donnell sort of let her have that one where she goes, I thought I just got fired for being a poor sport. Like, I was a poor sport, but I didn't know you could get fired for being a poor sport. Well, you can get fired for being a poor sport when you've had about 5,000 other chances that should have gotten you kicked off the team. So, yeah, that might have been the one that made them do it, but that was just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. I mean, you had enough violations along the way. Yeah, stealing a Federation vehicle and driving drunk with it, probably not a smart move for somebody who wants to keep play. But I think, now she's getting older. Now she's had that shoulder surgery. She's had shoulder replacement. I mean, I've seen like she released a video on Instagram last week that she finally has like full range of motion in her shoulder. She was working out again and stuff. And clearly she's doing that, so you can see that, I'm still capable. But at the same time, once you're kind of over 30 and you've had something like a shoulder replacement, how much range of motion will she ever get back? I mean, even she admits it's like a 2-year recovery. Well, in 2 years, you're probably not going to be playing for the national team. I mean, she is a goalie. Yeah, they last longer. Players on the women's team have lasted to 40 anyway, simply because in general the game isn't as physically demanding. But it's still, she may be a physical, like, kind of freak of nature compared to her competition, but so is Adrian Peterson, and that guy's done for, because eventually your body just wears out.
Speaking of people with domestic violence cases, RB says Hope has the personality of Klinsmann. That's kind of true, and to some degree, I like that. I like men and women who aren't milquetoast, boring, straight answer all the time, cliche athletes. I find that boring. I was actually, before I was a news reporter, I was a sports reporter, and I didn't like it that much because athletes tend to give the same answers all the time, and you got to get the right ones to make it interesting. I like my athletes to be brash or to be thoughtful. I like Michael Bradley and Landon Donovan for that reason, because they're both very thoughtful. They give you something, especially with a journalist they trust. And I don't like, we're going to keep it one day at a time. You know who used to be that way? This is funny, and he even admits it. Taylor Twellman used to be incredibly boring because he says he didn't trust the media, and his answers were always just the dullest crap. And now I think he's a pretty good TV guy. He's a pretty good color guy for ESPN, and he's, for lack of a better word, colorful. But when he was a player, he was the type that I find boring. So I guess, for Clinzy and Hope, for those reasons, I like them. But Hope becomes a distraction for sure. People with that big of personality, obviously she backs it up in net, but people with that big of personality on a team, I mean, everybody's playing on a team. You don't like everybody, but there's certain people you can hate. And if a lot of people don't like that person, it does become kind of like a cancer in the team, that phrase that's been used, that cliche that's been used a lot. So yeah, I mean, if I think it now is probably the time to break and move on from Hope. But, stranger things have happened. If some of the other goalkeepers get hurt, maybe we'll see her back. So,
I mean, of course, it's sort of like, Brad Friedel retired from international play a number of years, but 10 years before he retired from at the club level. Had Casey Keller gotten hurt, had Keller and Howard going down or something, Friedel would have come back. He would have played in 2006, probably in 2010.
It's a different thing with the women, though, because the national team is the main thing and the club thing is the side thing for the way the women's game works. I compared the women's national team to, like, I think a better comparison is not that they're Brazil or something. I think it's that they're Barcelona or Real Madrid. They're all superstars in the women's game. Which, I mean, look at some of our players, like Heather O'Reilly, who went over to Arsenal, and the reception she got. Like, it's like, oh my God, she's here. And here it's just, it's Heather on the national team. So, but yeah, it we'll see. I mean, a lot can happen. So,
my guess is, she's done for. I think we all expected that. That was kind of the feeling about when they finally pulled this and removed her from the team. It was sort of look, she was probably going to be done with the next World Cup anyway. You needed to move on. This is a convenient time to do it. You get to take the moral high ground without really having to sacrifice anything. So, it worked for U.S. soccer. She is interesting, though, because she loves to burn bridges. Man, like, she will say anything. And, yeah, I know, I totally find it entertaining. I mean, to an extent, it's sort of like Eric Winalda, where, as a player, I made fun of him all the time. Winalda, because it was like he was always whining, like bitching about something. Everything was unfair. Everything was like,
what's changed?
Well, a little bit. But what I like is, like, when he's on, until he threatened Jim Rome to the fight or whatever and got kicked off ESPN, or was that Fox Sports? It was Fox Sports at the time. He would say anything, and what I liked was he would give an actual opinion. Even if some of it might be off kilter, it's at least a real feeling. Like, he would be the one to say, look, that was a handball, or this didn't get called because he was wearing a US badge on his shirt. Like, he'd be the one to say the stuff that, like, I wanted to say, but I'm sitting in a bar or in my living room or in my basement like this. I'm not I'm not on national TV. I don't get to give the real opinion, and I don't get to sit there like some guys who are like, well, blah, 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 and kind of be milquetoast and say nothing.
As always, guys,
Marcelo Balboa, who I loved as a player and hate as an announcer because he does that.
Action, go ahead and throw your questions out. We'll take them kind of during the flow of the show. So yeah, if you have questions, feel free to just type them out and we'll take them. What is the best team in women's soccer? RB wants to know. Well, neither one of us are experts on women's soccer. We know the men's game quite a bit better, but internationally, I think it's the U.S. I mean, they didn't win the Olympics, but I think it's just a dip in what is overall they're the best team. So, Pulisic and John Brooks.
Brooks.
Yes. Took the field
faced off
in the German Cup. Pulisic came on at the half in the Dortmund Hertha Berlin game and scored right away, or assisted right away. I think it was Marco Reus that scored, right?
It was, yeah.
Assisted right away, and the game went to penalties. I don't dare say penalty kicks. And
PKs, you shouldn't say.
In case any of our Swansea viewers are still around. And
Pulisic missed his PK.
He did, but
he choked that one. It was not a good shot. I liked the touch he had. Now, granted, they had so much pressure because it had just come off. I think Aubameyang or Dembele, I can't remember. One of them had just hit the post, I think, and they had 6 or 7 guys in the box. So the pressure they had on Hertha Berlin was nuts. But he got it, and the ball comes to Pulisic, and he waits a second to lay it off to Reus, so he can draw 2 defenders to him, which then leaves Reus just standing basically in front of an open net. The keeper's a little bit to the side. He probably has 8 feet of open net that is no more than 8 or 10 feet from him. That he just slots it home. It doesn't even power it. He just side foots it, passes into the goal because it's just so simple. What I liked was that, even with that kind of pressure, even with that many guys in the box, he kept his composure and let the defenders come to him. So it gave Royce an easy shot.
Yeah.
Now, his penalty was poorly taken. But beyond that, no, that was good to see. Brooks almost had a goal in the first half. Got his head on a corner kick. Really just kind of a nice save. He got it low and towards the corner, just wasn't quite all the way to the corner. But I mean, it was a bit like against Portugal. He just, because he's so much bigger and can jump, he just got up and just brought that ball down. And it was just a nice save by Dortmund's keeper to keep that ball out, because he very nearly scored. Actually, Ibisevic almost scored as well with an awesome, like kind of an awesome, like over the shoulder first time shot in the first half. Speaking of guys who could have played for the U.S. had we not screwed it up. Man, yeah. Oh, his shot looked good. Yeah, it was. That was another like Dortmund's keeper just good save.
RB wants to know why are all the national teams best playing in Germany right now? It is kind of a weird deal right now that, for the longest time, it was pretty much the Premier League. We had some in the Dutch league, some in Scotland, but it was concentrated around the Premier League where our best players went to play. And now it is Germany. In part, this is because a lot of them are dual nationals and they were born in Germany, or if they weren't born in Germany, they have a German parent. So that's a big part of it. But I mean, there are other guys over there like Pulisic too. So
there's certainly an element of it that is they're dual nationals who were who are German from birth. But some of it is the fact that Germany's doing a much better job of getting youth players in, and the guys who tend to be there for us all tend to be younger. I mean, really, like Fabian Johnson's kind of the only one who's looking at he may have peaked, or he's kind of reaching his peak right now. The rest of them are all on the upside of their careers, pretty young, and it's a good youth league. I mean, it's probably become the best youth league. I think it's probably become the most competitive league, top to bottom. And maybe that's not fair because Bayern Munich still is a little bit like a Spanish league champion or an Italian league or something. But for the most of the rest of the league, like, they do a very good job of getting young players on the field and weaving them into consistent play. So it's turning into a good development league. And that's, I mean, until now, we've kind of seen our guys do most of their development in like the Dutch leagues or the Dutch league, really, and not so much, maybe they'd make a stop at Germany.
Yeah.
Or, like Jermaine Jones would come up, but again, just somebody who was German and could play for us. I think Germany's become so competitive and so watchable that it's in some ways challenging the first place spot that the EPL kind of holds for a lot of Americans.
Yeah,
the EPL held that spot because it had the access to the TV market, and because we speak the language. A lot of what we do soccer wise is based on habits from England. But that's really changing, and now that the Bundesliga is getting on regular national Fox TV, I think it's going to change long term too. There's just so much money in England that, and the rules are so tight on getting a work permit that you really have to be a star, or you have to be English, or a part of the realm, which it always kind of every once in a while I sort of make a joke that, well, then why does Canada get to be a part? They're not a part of the realm anymore. We were once a part of the realm.
Well, the Queen's still on their money
because we ran them out. Then we don't get to. But anyway, yeah. I mean, you pretty much have to be a star in order to be approved for a work permit there. And
yeah, what is it?
It's
like 50 national team caps you have to override something
kind of
crazy
ridiculous.
like that. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, it definitely puts a damper on the number of Americans who can get in there, and I think it makes Germany a more worthwhile spot, but especially for young players because of those problems. England, you got to be a star to truly get a chance to get your work permit and then to get a chance on the field, and so you have to have kind of earned it someplace else unless you're English.
And from a television standpoint, I think the NBC Premier League coverage is vastly superior still to what Fox does with the Bundesliga. But from an actual soccer standpoint, I'm starting to prefer the Bundesliga, in part because Arsenal makes me want to go vomit and light things on fire, but it's quicker. It seems crisper. It's not,
it's faster, it's more action-packed, and the fans are better.
The fans are way better. The fans, I mean, we've made fun of Germans. They do love chanting in large groups, but it really, I mean, that yellow wall in Dortmund is amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to see that in person.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's a really fun league to watch, and from on a social media standpoint, I think the Bundesliga does a way better job stateside than I think the EPL does, who seems to be ignoring it. It's kind of headed off by that Christian Nyari, I think I'm saying his name right, guy who does social media for Bayern. But I mean, he does a great job, and so do a lot of the other teams. The EPL seems to be ignoring it. They just stick with their, because they kind of can,
it's
because
the individual teams that do it. It's not so much the league, as opposed to the Bundesliga, where it's a more concerted league-wide effort. But that, I think that goes kind of across the board. Like, part of the reason the fan experience is so good is Germany has a law that, like, there has to be a ticket for no more than 10 euros or something like that, or a certain percentage of the stadiums have to be no more than 10 euros to get in. So, you know, you get more kind of regular fans in, as opposed to England, where it's become a bit like the US, where it's largely corporate seating and things, or it's corporate seating all around the field because the prices are just too high for most people to maintain season tickets. And then on top of it, they still allow standing or they have allowed standing again in Germany. They go to those, I can't think of what they call them, but it's like a rail.
Oh, safe standing. Yeah.
Down. Yeah. Safe standing. Thank you. That, you know, they've just instituted, I think it's Celtic now.
They have them so that they turn into seats for when they play a Champions League game.
UEFA requires any kind of like Champions League or I think any UEFA Cup game has to have seats. So they can fold them down, but then they can go back to standing the rest of the time, and it does seem to engage the fans more.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can still drink in the stands in Germany too, which might also change things.
Arby says Dortmund fans are nasty and have been charged for violence. Chelsea fans don't let minorities on the tube. It's
that's true.
Everybody's got terrible people within their mix. It's except for Arsenal. The only people we hate are our own team. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy the Bundesliga. I think it's the combination of it popping up on Fox Sports. What was it, last year, I think? And then on top of that, all of our players there that have kind of drawn me to it. And I don't have a team. I guess if I do have a team, it's Dortmund, but I don't, I kind of just cheer for Americans.
Good game.
Good game. Yeah. I like watching Bayern. It's fun.
Yeah, not to be a bandwagon fan, but I guess I'm a bandwagon fan in Germany. It's not like I've had a team there for years or something that I've supported. So yeah, I'm a Dortmund fan. Like I don't know how you can't be. They just seem, I don't know. The fans seem cool. Yeah, they may have been charged with violence. I don't know. I still enjoy US-Mexico games and like go to US-Mexico in Mexico and get a battery thrown at you, or a flare or a bag of piss or something. I want to go have that happen to me. Not joking in the least. I want that experience. So I like that there's an element of, I don't know, unruliness or whatever there. To me, it just adds to the atmosphere. So
I do like that little that tiny little set they've built for Fox Sports that looks like a German beer hall. I think that's pretty cool.
The very first EPL game I ever went to, Nottingham Forest and West Ham, in 1996. So I think it was like Forest last season in the top flight. I thought we were sitting about 10 feet away from the West Ham section. The away supporters, we were in the corner. I thought there was going to be a riot. Like, they ended up with so many cops, it stopped it all. The guy I was with wanted to leave. I was like, hell no, we're staying. Like, if this is happening, I'm going to be here for it. We were just across the aisle, basically, from the West Ham section. But there were so many cops that there was no way. Like, I suppose if I had charged hard enough, I could have gotten through, but I wasn't there to do that. But yeah,
it's part of the reason why it's cleaned up since then is because it costs so much more to go.
Yeah, that was part of it. They've made a very concerted effort throughout the 90s and into the early 2000s to eliminate all of the like the firms, the fans, all the real hooligan stuff.
What's the Bill Buford book, Among the Thugs?
Oh yeah.
That's another. In the USfanTV book club, there is currently The Miracle of Castle de Sangro.
This Love Is Not for Cowards.
This Love Is Not for Cowards by Robert Andrew Powell, and I would say Among the Thugs should also be in there. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I like that book a lot.
What do we think of
go ahead.
Soccer Talk, who is Action, wants to know, what do we think of the Mexico Puto chants? I don't think either one of us get dramatically worked up about things like this, but I think it's probably time to make that go away. This is not my biggest issue.
Yeah, I have 2 points of view on it. One is that I enjoy when there's an element of like something nasty to chants. It's offensive, but like I kind of like when the Mexicans were still chanting Osama during national anthem for the U.S. Like I like that there's that
fuel
kind
to
of
the fire.
fervor to it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Having said that, the Puto thing, what pisses me off is like we're not allowed to yell "you suck, asshole" anymore because that gets punished. And there's been such a media backlash on it. And every supporters group in MLS has been like conditioned by their team that you better not do this or you won't be allowed to be in the stadium. And yet, you get like 20 Mexicans in a stand and somebody's going to be chanting that and nobody does anything about it. Like FIFA kind of comes in and cracks that every once in a while. That's my only point about it. Like it's offensive. I if you're going to ask me as like a person, as a human being, they shouldn't be saying it. But as a person who likes going to games and likes, I don't know, a little, maybe a lot of an edge to the atmosphere, in that regard, I appreciate that it goes on because it does add something more, like another reason to like be upset about the other team or something. But no, as like a person, no, you shouldn't be allowed to like yell that. Like you guys should stop doing it. So
yeah, I feel the same way. It's like I said, it's not the, I guess it's offensive. It's not the highest thing on my priority list. But yeah, I agree with Chris. I kind of like the violent atmosphere. I like the edge and the hatred and stuff like that. Now, am I going to go yell something racist? No, I'm not. Am I going to yell Rafa Marquez, I hope you break your neck? Yeah, because that's different. I'm directing that at a guy versus directing it at a group of people. I don't really like chants that are directed at a group of people, but if an individual fan or an individual player, comes around, I think it can be fair game. I don't really like racist stuff or sexist stuff or homophobic stuff. And I've heard the argument and I understand Spanish well enough to know what puto means. And it's not quite as harsh as some English speakers think it is, but it is basically what it means. So the feminine male prostitute, we know what you're going for here. So maybe do away with it, but I'm not going to go protest it either.
Another action question that this is what I was trying to catch before, but we've been getting enough comments. Will Tom Brady win 6 Super Bowls before Brazil wins 5 World Cups? I actually kind of think yes, unfortunately. And I'm on record as saying I don't believe Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback ever. I don't even think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a very good quarterback. I just think he's the luckiest person on earth. The luckiest luck to ever luck a luck. I just think he's in the best position. And the Patriots, like the AFC is generally such crap beside maybe 2 teams or something. So the Patriots get to kind of walk in rested effectively. And then, you've got Bill Belichick who's going to beat 99% of the teams he's going to face. And you've got a very good, very capable quarterback who can lead it. So Yeah, I think the only chance he doesn't get a sixth one is probably an injury in
Yeah.
the next year or two, because I mean he's like 6 months younger than me or something. Like he's going to be 40 this year. He's
Think
not.
think of this. They've been on this winning streak, or in and out of a winning streak, since basically around it was we would have just met each other
Yeah,
working
pretty much. Yeah,
in
yeah,
Champaign at a TV station. So yeah,
yeah.
it's been a long time. Um, yeah, where are we going next? Any other questions?
There was
Uh,
something else I saw. Oh, and Brazil, I don't think is going to win a World Cup probably for a while. Yeah, they still are creating guys like Neymar and stuff, and it's not like they're bad, but they've become a victim to an extent of their own success and of their own hype. They're becoming more like England, where they think they're the greatest thing on earth, and so they don't seem to take it as seriously. And they are falling victim to the fact that other countries are getting better. Um, Quite frankly, I think Argentina should beat them
yeah,
consistently. I can't believe Argentina didn't win the last World Cup, but or hasn't won a World Cup in 30 years.
Argentina's kind of the St. Louis
But
Blues.
Argentina has a bit of the same problem.
Argentina's the St. Louis Blues. They're really good. You think they're going to be really good, and then they manage to not win anything. Fucking 901, making a joke about Belichick being on the Revs staff. I will say, kind of along those lines, imagine if Bob Kraft cared about MLS. Like,
Yeah.
look, you got to say, they've kept this team together, and Brady and Belichick have managed to win with a lot of different players around him. But imagine if Bob Kraft actually cared about his MLS team too, which it never seemed like he did. Imagine if they actually do get a stadium in Boston, which would be awesome, instead of playing in Foxborough. And I just think for soccer, it's a lot better to be playing in a city than way out in the suburbs. It works for the NFL because it's the NFL; they can draw from anywhere. But
works for Bob Kraft because it's his stadium. But
yeah, it's his stadium,
like,
and exactly.
if he truly wanted to make a difference, it would be cool to get the actual kind of Boston city atmosphere. Like go play it in South Boston or something, and
get
have
Marky
like
Mark.
cool stuff.
Marky Mark is going to come out there. He's going to show everybody how to score some goals. Say hello to your mother for me.
Who do you think will be the next goalkeeper after Tim Howard retires from playing for the U.S.?
Brad Guzan for a little bit. And then Jonathan Klinsmann.
To me, it's Gazan's job to lose. Gazan, I guess. I was listening to Alexi Lalas talk about how to pronounce his name on the Total Soccer show podcast today. And he talked about, he heard Brad Guzan pronounce it as Guzan, so I'm going to try and now pronounce it as Guzan. I think it's Guzan's job to lose. He's a much better goalkeeper with the ball at his feet, and if we are truly trying to play a possession game, that definitely helps. Howard is pinpoint with his throws, but his actual playing the ball with his feet, he's better than Keller, but not saying much there. Guzan is a good textbook keeper. I think he's been in an unfortunate position, and I think he's been too close in age to Tim Howard for too long to have earned or to have gained the trust of a lot of fans. And so I think they've only seen him in like a few mistakes here or there, and so they judge him on that. He's a sound keeper. It's not that he can't play. I think he's just kind of had some bad luck, and Timmy's been a fantastic keeper for what we needed. He's a great reaction save keeper. Those guys tend not to last. And now he's 38 or whatever he is. He's not going to hold up much longer. Not even just to the injuries, but just that your reaction's slow and you become like Keller. You just kind of hit a cliff, because Keller was the same way. Guzan in that regard is like Friedel was. Like when Keller and Friedel were battling, Friedel was the better keeper overall. Keller was the better shot stopper. Long term, the better keeper wins out. The better keeper's better. But short term, the shot stopper can help you. And Keller was a better reaction save goalie. So I get there why they were bouncing back and forth. Now, having said that, I still think probably should have been Friedel's job. I think Friedel's the best keeper we've ever had, and could play the ball. But I guess that is what it is. But anyway, yeah, who will be the future? It's Gazan for a little bit. I'll give him through. I don't give him long. I mean, if he doesn't get a starting job, I think when he's in MLS and he's starting, he's probably our keeper through the World Cup. I think in the next cycle, we probably start looking at new guys. Now, I think Ethan Horvath for the last year has had the inside track on that, but he hasn't been starting since he went to Bruges. And on top of it, he may be too young to truly get that, to truly be given that starting job. So who goes in there? I don't know.
Short term, it's going to be an MLS guy of some kind of.
Raimondo's too old. He's not.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
I think he probably. I think Raimondo carries us till the summer, probably when Gazan is in MLS and starting again. If something should happen, or like nothing happens, I guess, in Middlesbrough, and Gazan doesn't get the job there, I think Raimondo probably leads things through until the summer.
And I was joking, but I might not be joking about Jonathan Klinsmann. By the time that he needs to be ready, he might be playing somewhere.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I think a lot of things are kind of wide open there, or at least the field is quite wide at that point, because Luis Robles has a chance, but he's another one who he's getting older, and would he be truly viable in like 2022? I don't know. So I think you may see a number of guys play over like between 2018 and 2022, kind of passing the torch a little bit until one guy stands out and becomes the go-to guy. I guess it'll depend on who loses their hair first.
That's true. That's key. I mean, I'm a little old, but I have no hair left, so I can probably do it. Soccer Talk wants to know who's going to win Confederations Cup. I would say Germany, but I think Chile has a shot anytime you have Alexis Sanchez on the field, except apparently for Arsenal. You have a ability to win anything. As for third place, Russia, maybe, because they're the home team. Maybe
because they're going to rig it.
Maybe Mexico.
Because they're going to murder people if they don't.
We'll apparently be in on it. But yeah, Germany or Chile. I think it's one of the two. Probably Germany. I mean, how do you bet against them? Do we think MLS is corrupt? I don't know that they're necessarily corrupt, but I mean, yeah, but not in the traditional soccer sense. It's yes, they're obviously. The league is more than willing to bend the rules to get good players to go to markets and teams that they see as important, and that they have ownerships and that want to pay. There are rules in place that are supposed to lead to parity and let the league kind of grow together. But obviously, we've seen some of the teams start to separate themselves, like the two that were in MLS Cup. Seattle and Toronto are two teams that are obviously outspending other teams by a lot, and the league is shifting things around. And look at what they do with the Galaxy all the time. So yeah, I mean that's a form of corruption, I guess, but it's not like there are payoffs or anything like that. I think it's more just Don Garber has a willingness to help owners help themselves. I think if Chicago cared, they're a large enough market that they would be in on it too. But I don't think the ownership of Chicago actually cares that much. So for the time being, it's LA, it's Seattle, it's Toronto, it's the New York teams, mainly NYCFC doing the spending. Red Bull does the winning. Yeah, so kind of.
You can't spell MLS without LA.
We want to talk about the U20 roster.
Yeah, we should.
We're playing soon. The U20 roster is out. Let's see. Do you have it in front of you? I have it in front of me right here.
I do not.
Here, let me pull it up.
I have to read it because I could not name most of those guys offhand.
I honestly don't know who a lot of them are. We were joking about Jonathan Klinsmann. He is one of your two goalkeepers. Guys that I know of on the listed defenders: Danny Acosta, Eric Palmer Brown, Austin Trusty, Tommy Redding, Some of your midfielders, Luca De La Torre. Let's see, Sebastian Saucedo. Your forwards include Brooks Lennon, Jonathan Lewis, Coy Kraft. There's more names on the list. I don't know a lot of these guys. I probably should know more of them than I do, but it's weird. We were talking about this before the show. I know more of the guys on the U17 team for some reason, and of course tons on the U23 team when they get together than I do on the U20 team. So
I think some of that is that the U17s have been the breakout stars really for the last like maybe cycle and a half or whatever. I mean, that's really where Pulisic came in. That's where kind of he got his starring spot. I think that's where Paul Areola came from, was out of that pool. So, it's definitely I think been the stepping stone for a lot of teams. The U20s, like Brooks Lennon, that would be, he'd be, I think, a household name if he could have gotten on the field for Liverpool. Hopefully this loan, I think he's with Real Salt Lake now. Hopefully this will pay off for him and he'll see some progress, because he seems to have all the skills, but he's got to get the chances. And, when you're looking at your 19 or something, you really got to make it something now, because over the next 2 years, if you haven't hit the field, you're going to have to go to a lower league or a lesser team or something, because they're going to have the new 19-year-olds coming up to try and get in. So, he's really got to, I think, make his bones right now, kind of.
What MLS team had the best transfer window? Atlanta. Probably. Chicago did well to bring in Dax McCarty, but I think Atlanta overall probably.
But they sold Sean Johnson for nothing.
MLS team winning CONCACAF Champions League. Probably none of them.
We've discussed this. No, until there's more money in MLS that they can actually pay for a deeper roster on say, at least on the big teams like the Galaxy or somebody. No. Ultimately, while you may have stars on some of these teams that are better than the stars on like their Mexican counterparts or Costa Rican or whatever, the overall teams, especially in Mexico, are simply better. They've got a deeper roster of talented players than MLS does, and that's why they win these. Especially when you're looking at when those games are played, so it tends not to fit the best into MLS's season, and then you look at the fact that it's also a secondary tournament, and just like every secondary tournament for every club, they never field their best teams, and so those players that could stand out for MLS sides probably aren't playing in those Champions League games. So no, I don't think an MLS team will win it anytime soon. Now, by anytime soon, I mean in the next 5 years. In the next 10, yeah, maybe. I could see that. I don't think that seems far off at all, because definitely there is more money coming into MLS. Clearly, not just the expansion fees that are skyrocketing, but just that there's more. You're seeing more good players come in at younger ages. Giovanni Dos Santos, Giovinco, guys who could very easily still be playing somewhere else at a much higher level, and are now playing here. So as you see more of that occur, you're going to see the level of play overall improve, and the depth of the rosters improve, and then you're looking at greater parity between like MLS and Liga MX or even say Costa Rica or whatever, where you can actually see some MLS teams truly challenge for a championship.
It was weird. Impact was the last team, right? And that was the year where they were like dog shit, but they had won the Canadian Cup, the Canadian Open Cup. I think that's how they got in, if I remember right. And then they made it all the way to the final and lost. But I mean, it'll happen. But it's
the conversion rate, they didn't have to try as hard. So
it'll happen, but it'll be, yeah, like you said.
That's true. Galaxy won in 2000, but yeah, 2000,
they did?
whatever.
I don't even remember that. It was a different format though then, wasn't it? I can't even remember what they did back then.
Yeah, that was too long ago to say.
Where did LA go wrong this season? They don't have to win it every year. Other teams were better.
It was injuries largely. I mean,
Well, yeah.
they they were so hard up that they brought Donovan back. Like, and that's not to say that like he didn't work out for him,
Right.
for the Galaxy or Donovan, but realistically, if they were truly in I don't know, if they weren't in dire straits, do you think they would have called in a guy who was retired for 2 years, star or not, still capable of playing or not? No, they would have kept with their roster. So I think that was a large part of the problem for them.
Yeah, and Soccer Talk, I saw a little bit of the Mexico-Iceland match. It's kind of like exactly like the US-Jamaica match. I don't know what you read into it, other than the fact that for Mexico, winning is a positive thing. So it never is a bad thing to win, even if it's a B team against a B team in a friendly in another country. Is Mexico going to play all their friendlies in the US from now on? It seems like it.
Yeah, pretty much. LA won when it was a single weekend tournament. TJ just texted us.
TJ remembers
TJ, did you see our discussion? Yeah. Oh, did you see our discussion about your jerseys? Anyway,
he has the DVDs or something he can call up. VHS. He's got VHS tapes, so like masking tape, 2000 Champions League. Pop it in.
While we're on, or while we've just moved away from the U20s, I forgot to bring this up. Their first game is next Saturday in the CONCACAF Championship to determine whether they go to the World Cup. It's next Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern. They are playing at Saprissa. I didn't think they could play games at Saprissa anymore. Is it just World Cup qualifiers that they can't play there anymore?
I don't think it's that they can't. I think it's that they built that new stadium, and so they
thought
use it.
I thought CONCACAF required them to move those games because it was no longer safe enough.
Is it really Saprissa? Because sometimes they call the new place Saprissa too for some reason.
Oh, maybe.
But I hope it is. I hope it's old Saprissa because that's more awesome.
Yeah,
that's cooler. I like it. Let those guys learn what a tough atmosphere is.
Was LA holding Zardes back, or is LA holding Zardes back? I do think Zardes needs to move on. I do think he needs to go to a better league because he needs to be put in a position where he has to improve his first touch, or improve his vision at least, so he's making better runs. Because while he can succeed at LA, and I think Bruce was wise to kind of bring him along. And I got to say, really cool when I met him. He still lacks a close enough first touch to truly succeed at higher levels. Too many balls bounce too far off him. And while, he still has a lot of speed, at a high enough level, that ball's going to get picked off every time, even with his speed. Or, the problem becomes because you played it an extra 2 feet in front of you, you got to step faster to that ball. The defender closes, so you got to move a little bit. So then you lose it on the next guy. It becomes kind of a chain reaction. He's got to improve that first touch. I do think moving to a better league, maybe moving to like the Dutch league, or Spain or something would be good for him, because they are more technical leagues. But they're not. The Dutch league tends to be a league where Americans do well. So, I think that would be a good place for him to go. I think that would help his game. And hey, by all means, right now he can play, I think, probably as a midfielder in MLS, but I don't think he's a great midfielder at the international level for the US. And that's where, his speed, you kind of want him outside, but he just doesn't have the touch to do it. So I'd like to see him move somewhere where he can hopefully keep improving that.
I think we've gone on long enough. What do you think?
I didn't note while we were talking about one Hope Solo. Apparently, she signed a contract to do a reality show.
Yes, I saw this. Yes, of course she did. So it's now her job to be controversial.
Yeah, I'm hoping she does crazy shit on there.
If you see us at one of the next upcoming games, and if you buy us a beer and you ask Chris very nicely, he'll show you something about Hope Solo. That's all I'm going to say. So find us and say, hey, Chris, what's the Hope Solo thing?
No one is allowed to talk about that on the internet.
You may think that you know what we're talking about because of stuff that happened and whatnot. No, this is not what you think. All right, this is US Fan TV. We have a website called USfanTV.com. We do these live shows Tuesday nights and Thursday nights, and we do special editions of them when major things happen, like Bob Bradley gets fired or Jurgen Klinsmann gets fired or stuff like that. We also do them after games, but we don't have to worry about that till next month. We have a Twitter. Follow us, tweet us, do whatever you want at USFanTV. Facebook and Instagram are USFanTV. We hate Snapchat. We have YouTube, but you know that because you're here. Subscribe if you haven't already. I think we're over 170 now, which is cool. So thank you to everyone who's done that. Chris, did you have any final words?
I don't like Zardes going to Wolves. That seems to me to be too physical. I mean, it's not bad for a guy like him to learn to play in a physical league, but I would prefer he goes to a more technical league or a more a league that's less physical. So there's the opportunity for more, dribbling, passing, running that I think would more directly benefit his game. So I'd rather see him go somewhere like the Dutch league, maybe Portugal, Spain, where he's got to pick up his technical abilities. But that I think is the last of the questions. Do you believe MLS clubs will begin utilizing the academy system at a higher level if it benefits them? I don't think they've invested. Most of them, I don't think have invested enough money that it truly that they're getting anything out of it when they can still. Especially if you're somebody like the Galaxy, who MLS will bend over backwards to give you rules, new rules so you can change or buy new players, more players, whatever. It's too easy for them right now to just go buy somebody than it is to develop a player. So I don't see it happening immediately.
Well, I think some teams are doing it, like Dallas. But yeah, you're right. For the larger clubs, it's something like that, RV. For the larger clubs, it's just not happening. All right, is that it? You got to say the magic words.
I'm gonna have to tell my girlfriend, no, I did not do that.
Yeah. Stab wound.
Stop it. No, you are done.
All right, see you guys. You're done.